All right, daily live stream. It's Tuesday, 11:30 a.m. local time here, Mountain Time. I'm near Boulder, Colorado, which is near Denver. And let me know if you could hear me in the chat. It's always good to confirm that. I've upgraded, and now we have theme music, which always was on the podcast. I just never used the mechanism that is right here for me to use. That is super simple. All I had to do was just drag the file over, and we have Gaz is on today, which is super cool. He made it home from work, which is good. Are you home early today? Like you made it home early or something like that? And we're going to be talking about content today. Quality content. What is not quality content? We'll look at some examples. We'll look at a couple like best in class type websites, so you can see like how thorough certain pieces of content are. We have Marcus on too, who can hear me loud and clear, Mateus and Zach. And Marcus knows. Yeah, I got a new tattoo here. It's still healing. So this was the old one. I haven't done like a tour of the tattoos. But this one's pretty old. It's about 16 years old. I need to get it touched up. This is fresh. I got it on Friday. And it is, a islander. I'm half Filipino, so this is the Filipino sun and stars here. And got a little tribal action to go along with it. And I don't know what my timeline is to fill out the rest here, but I think my plan was to hit it with a little more sort of like floral design, though also black ink, but like floral design and just a little bit different. But this flows really well, so I may just continue on. It is, I'm no artist. I'm not sure how to, do it exactly. To fill out the sleeve and have it flow correctly. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. I would potentially do it by the end of the year, but my wife was like, "Dude, you're going crazy here. You don't have to get it all at once." But I kind of feel like I've like painted one wall in the room, and you may as well paint the rest of it. Brushes are out and everything. All right, Misty is here. David's on. Yeah, and thanks to David for being a moderator. John's here also. Ariel's on. Cool. Pavel from Portugal. And Sonia. Elsie is on too. And a couple quick housekeeping things. So thanks everyone for hopping on here. If you have the ability, hit the thumbs up. That is helpful, whether you're watching the replay or watching live. That is helpful. Leave a comment if you're watching it later. It doesn't matter what you say. Anything is good. I'm going to plug a couple quick things. I'll go through quick. I'll mention it again later. Get the 3-part mini course via email that is coming out October 3rd through the 7th. And it will help you get excited and motivated to either start a new site or improve your existing site. So 3 emails, it's free, comes out October 3rd through the 7th. You could just sign up there. Also, if you want notifications about these live streams, you can sign up. It says YouTube notifications. And basically you can't rely on YouTube to actually send you the notifications. So it is helpful if I send it out for you. Finally, we have 2 sponsors. We have Odys Global. I'll play an ad from them later, which I pre-recorded. And then we have Ezoic as well. So Odys has aged premium domains. Ezoic will help you monetize. There's no page view minimums. And you could actually use the tool Leap to help your website load faster. And again, no page view minimum, so you can figure out how to get your site to load a little bit faster. Next, we have Niche Website Builders. They're not a sponsor, but they do have a promo going on this week. There's a link in the description here. You can get 15% more content on content packages or website orders, and you can get a 15% discount on link packages. So those are affiliate links and stuff like that. So keep it in mind, and they help support the show. All right, so we'll look at some quality content. I'm going to share my screen. If I usually don't do this, but if you want me to look at your specific content, I can hop in there and have a quick look. We did this a few weeks back, and people got something out of it. The downside is everyone will know your site. Yep, everyone will know your site, but you'll get feedback from me and other people here. So let's see, a couple more people hopped in. And we have Mawix, and Mateus asks if I can speak Tagalog. I cannot. Unfortunately, I did not learn. That would have been a wonderful thing. And Misty says, I really want to start a new site, so you'll sign up for sure. Awesome. Yeah, so sign up for the free mini course. 10 Hunts is on, and yeah, Gaz asks, does the course come with a free foolproof niche? Yep, you have to do a little homework, but it does. And I'll tell you, there's several of them out there. Poker, gambling, Viagra, tons of good niches. Oh, Chris is on. What's going on? And Sonia asks, how many articles is too many for a niche site? There's not really any number that's too many. So I would say as long as it's high quality and you have an attainable goal, then you'll be in good shape. I think people run into an issue when they're like, I want to do like 4,000 posts, and they don't have the bandwidth to do it. The other thing is you may be asking the wrong question. You may be asking the wrong question if you're trying to think about how much is too much. So you may want to revisit how you're thinking about things. Why do you want to have sounds like a maximum amount of content? Godfrey and Couch are both on. So let's start sharing my screen, and we could just kind of look at what quality content is, see if we draw any conclusions. And the thing is, Google wants us to aim for quality content. And when we think about Google, we often think about SEO and then all the algorithm updates that are popping out. And we try to figure out the very most optimal solution for various questions. There's tons of them out there. How many H2 or H3 tags should you use, H2 or H3? What about rich formatting, like bullet points or numbered lists? What about bolding the content? So there's all these thousands, dozens of little questions, and you probably won't be able to find the answer, number one. But when you get into the minutia like that, it's very common to not really have an answer. When you step away and stop thinking about the nuanced SEO answers that could change at any moment, you get back to the visitor and you think about the visitor like, hey, what helps the visitor the most? How can we solve the problem? That sort of thing. So I encourage you when you're thinking of how many articles are too many, or very specific things where you've heard 6 different opinions from 5 different people. Those are usually things that number one, I wouldn't necessarily think that someone has the right answer if it's that variable. Additionally, that could be something that Google tweaks in the future. So if you put all your eggs in one basket aiming in a certain direction, it could change, and then you would have to go and update all that stuff. So my general argument is think about the end user and kind of ignore SEO to some extent when you can serve the user better than coming up with some random stuff to do on a specific piece of content that you think should work. So John says you could have a look at my site. So tell me a specific post and then we can have a look at it. So to start off, I want to hop over to the Wirecutter. So it used to be one of my go-tos as an example for affiliate marketing. Of course, New York Times bought it for a lot of money at some point a few years back. I can't remember exactly when, but these are, very high quality reviews in general. And then another one that was, coming up around the same time, not quite as big, but a big brand, the Gear Lab folks. So they have a few different sites. I think if I go to the bottom, we can see which ones. Gear Lab. Anyway, there's several. There's like Baby Gear Lab, some other kind of Gear Lab, and they have very good reviews as well. So we'll look a little bit at each one's. Pioneer Smoke is on as well. So thanks for hopping in here. Oh, and Elsie says, John Mueller, I don't know how you say his name, Miller, says in a tweet that H3s are a lack of focus. What do you think? So this is a perfect example. So if you take it out of context, like H3s are a lack of focus, I think you can make the case that that is true, like if you use H3s. But if you think about an outline in the hierarchy of a topical area, think about a chapter of a book, for example, then it makes sense. If your hierarchy needs to have H3s and it makes sense, then I would say it doesn't necessarily show a lack of focus. So it just depends on what the scope is. And this is a perfect example. Thank you for asking this. If you just take what John says here, then it could lead you to think to never use H3 tags. But instead, you can think about the visitor to your site, and you could think about, does an H3 tag actually make it easier to understand? Is it easier to navigate the post because of that? And my argument would be, if you need to have H3 tags, then use H3 tags. So yeah, what do I think of it? I don't think much about it. I think that's like a false assumption. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple posts here and see what components are in there. And one key thing that we can look at is around, or that I'll let you know. So I have studied both of the sites we'll take a look at and some others. The thing is, I created like an Amazon affiliate template format that if you join the email list, which there's a link in the description there, you can get access to that template. Shows you the different components and sections, but we'll go over it. So I'm going to go to Home and Garden, and then maybe let's go to the garage. Let's go to the garage and see what reviews we can see. And I want to get rid of this here. Best flashlight, best bike pump, best mouse trap. Let's look at bike pumps. So we'll just kind of analyze this from the top. And there's good discussion about the H3 tag, so I'll come back to that in a second. Okay, the best bike pump. So this sort of post is a best of type article. So there's going to be a few products specifically reviewed. There's going to be sort of a buying guide section where there's different features and different things you need to think about if you're buying one of the products. So first thing that we see is the date. So we're going to go through this very methodically. And someone can note in the comments, please, about 14 minutes and 40 seconds is when I actually got started. All right. We have updated July 26, 2022. So it's July 20th, or it's September 20th. So it's relatively recent. So just in the last couple months, it's updated. Next, we also see 3 people wrote about it. So 3 people are authoring this. We have an image of actual real bike pumps, and they look pretty solid, very sturdy. And there are, actually there's 4 of them. It looks like there's a very small bike pump at the bottom here. So they do show us a picture that indicates that maybe they know what they're talking about. Next, we have a short little intro. No matter what kind of bike you ride, you need a way to inflate its tires. So they're qualifying. So first sentence, they're trying to tell the visitor that if you ended up on this page looking for a bike pump and you have a road bike, mountain bike, cruiser, hybrid, e-bike, unicycle, anything with fucking tires, right? You need to be able to pump it. So you're at the right place. Next, they say they tested 35 of them. So that adds authority and credibility as well. And over the course of 5 years, and then they tell you their top recommendation. So they're qualifying you. And then if people are in a hurry, they say, here's the best one. Here's the best floor pump for most bike commuters because, right? So they say, thanks to blah, blah, blah. So here's the best option because X. Sturdy construction, easy to read dial, and a reliable screw-on head. And they also have a portable pump in case you want to use it while you're out. So you can put it directly on your bike. So that is huge, right? If you can do that in your intro, then it qualifies people. If people are in a hurry, they can go directly to your top recommendation, and you're telling them why it's your top recommendation. And Marcus does note that the paragraph seems a little bit long. So yeah, these are a little bit long. There's about 7 lines here, 8 lines actually. And, it's a larger font. And this is intentional. I do this on my sites too. So I would potentially, separate this into 2 paragraphs. At the point where the font is this size, you basically end up writing like 1 to 2 sentences per paragraph to end up with a manageable number of lines. If you're viewing it on your phone, it could be a little bit different, but a lot of people are viewing on their phone, and you do want to make it skimmable and easy to read. As we scroll down, so after the intro, we have our pick, so a little feature box. We are focusing on the content. Now, one thing, number one, this is New York Times, so it's a newspaper. The people that work there can write pretty well. They are the really intense grammar people that probably know how to use a comma. I don't so much. So if you read anything on the Wirecutter or Outdoor Gear Lab or a very high-end website, most of the time, 99.9% of the time, the copy will be very tight. It will be grammatically correct. There will be very few typos, very few mistakes, very few issues with word usage. It is very, very good. It is very, very good. So if you are average or worse, like me, at grammar, one of the best things you could do is use a tool like Grammarly. So I'm an affiliate for Grammarly. There's actually a link in the description. Grammarly will show you if you've repeated a word, if you've misspelled a word, if you're using a comma wrong. I use the premium version. The premium version will show you usage tips. So if there's a sentence that is a little long or a little wordy or it's hard to understand, it'll flag it and then suggest a way to change it. I use it constantly. It's set up through Chrome. So when I write an email, I'll make a mistake or I'll see that I actually typed a word wrong. Maybe I forgot to use a comma or I used too many commas, and it will tell me that. Also, the suggestions for simplification are great. This is especially helpful if English is not your first language, or you just don't seem to be effective at proofreading. So it's hard to proofread your own work and edit your own stuff. Grammarly makes it much easier. If you're getting content from an agency, it's really helpful to have Grammarly just to tighten it up and see, how good it is. So that said, so we're looking at the content here. There are no mistakes, right? They're even using semicolons right here, right? Advanced punctuation. So, and they're using an M dash here. So it's very well written, and you can edit your own stuff. It helps to, write it and then take a break. I would say for me, at least an hour or so, but even better to come back the next day or something like that. Then it's fresh and you can kind of get a little space, get a little break. So very well written. I know a lot of people just joined up here. So quick recap, intro, very strong. They let you know that you're in the right place. They give you a specific recommendation, and then they tell you why. This is our top pick because it's sturdy and easy to read the air pressure valve. Next, they go into some of the things that you need to think about. So your pump shouldn't frustrate you. They give a little bit more detail about their top pick here. As we scroll down, you'll notice they give a budget pick. So they give a top pick and then they give you your budget pick here. So just a very short blurb. This is purely a summary, right? This is just a little summary of that particular one. They have the upgraded pick and they have the handheld pick. So again, all these are just little summaries. So what are they doing here? They're summarizing the top picks that they've selected, and then they are putting the little feature box here. That helps break up the text. You get an image there. The other thing is you have the ability to click on the Amazon link or Walmart. So it gives you a choice. And they show you the price right there, which these prices are probably pulled from the API. So that is okay to do. And right away, like it's the same price in both places. This one, it goes to a different place. So they're also noting when you click the affiliate link, they tell you what's going to happen. Expectations are set, and that's a very good thing to do. What you don't want to do generally is maybe some people put a link on maybe like it's twice the price, right? Twice the price. They put the affiliate link there. And if I click on that, it's not really clear what's going to happen. But if you look at the button, it's $130 and you go to Jensen USA. Very clear. All right. As we scroll down, we see they have a nice little table section here. Feature boxes is just in a different format. Everything's right next to each other, and they tell you it's the top pick, budget pick, upgraded pick. All right. This is like the table of contents. So the research, and they tell you why you should trust them, who is it for, how they picked the products and how they tested it. They go into the number one pick, and then they go into the cons. So conceivably, the first section is about the pros and the features of the Lazine Classic. And then they give you the cons after that. They go through the same sort of ideas for the other three pumps. They also mention other good bike pumps and the competition. So they go in pretty deep. So quick section for why you should trust them. So they're experts in whatever the topic area is. And that's what the Wirecutter does. You don't have to do this specifically. And you should keep in mind, this is 3 different writers. So if you distilled this down, this is maybe 2 sentences for an individual. You shouldn't lie, but if you have a strong interest in the topic area, then you should note it. Or if you are an expert in the topic area, do that. So for like beer brewing or beer judging, I could say, I'm a national level BJCP judge and I've been brewing beer for 16 years and I've brewed over 200 batches or something like that. That tells you right away, say it as quickly as you can and move on. Who is this for? So again, this is qualifying who should be reading this, and you're just letting them know, and it qualifies them a little bit more, and they know exactly what they're going to be getting into. This is also important, how we picked and tested. This is something that's usually lacking in, I think, most affiliate sites. So in that case, if you can note exactly why you pick certain products, that would be great. So I would spend a little time on this, and you can make it, brief and to the point. You can use your, they notice here, we check out online reviews. So you could say, yeah, I looked at online reviews from these other big sites similar to this, and it puts you kind of in the same class as that. So if you use rather arbitrary ways to pick, you can still note that, but maybe you spice it up a little bit and say, I went to the best sources online. I looked at Amazon and other retailers, and I looked at all the reviews. I looked at the sales rankings and so on. So, I mean, you could justify it. You just have to, make sure you have some method that you're choosing the products. As far as how you tested them, right? So if you are not actually purchasing the product, then you may not be able to write that. You instead could say, we looked at all the features, we researched at the manufacturer's website, we looked at forums, we went to stores. Even if you didn't buy them, maybe you go to a store and you check out some of the items. By the way, that's a good place to just snap some pictures on your phone really quickly, so you have custom pictures. But you can go into the same features. So in this case, they're talking about the tire valves, they're talking about the durability of the pump, the comfort and sturdiness of the pump, if it can be serviced, and so on. So they're talking about the features here. So they look at the different criteria. In their case, they actually test for the criteria. You may not be able to do that, but you should just write what you did look at in the different areas that you compared. So as we scroll down, we see an image of the top pick here, custom image for sure. So you can see, oh yeah, they are trusting it, or they're testing it, a little more trustworthy than this just random image that everyone has on their own site. As we scroll down, they go into the details. So they talk about the features which were mentioned before. So the screw-on design, the flip-out head chuck, and we're not going to read it verbatim here, but essentially they're going through each one of the features that they talked about before and how this specific product applies. Sturdiness, the dial here for the air pressure, and we're going to scroll down. Flaws but not deal breakers. So this is the cons section, and it is important to have like cons or the flaws or whatever listed, because if you just say everything is great for every one of your products, that is not credible, especially if there's a big discrepancy in the price. People understand there's different quality levels. Some people want to buy the cheapest thing every time. Some people want the most expensive, premium, VIP version, no matter what it is. And those folks will self-select, and they're like, oh, it's cool to see all the features. Let's, get the one that's right for me. The problem comes in when you say this $10 item is just as good as the $250 item. No one believes you, right? The person buying the cheaper product is not really going to think that it's 100% comparable. And the person that wants the premium item, well, they hope that whatever they're getting is better. So people have different priorities. It's totally fine. So if something does have a flaw, like, you should note it. So if it's a $10 product, probably the materials are not as sturdy, they're not as durable. It's just the way it is. And people get that. So custom images, and we just see the same thing over and over again. And the feature boxes, I see John mentioning the feature box. And John, ping me the site. I may have to, if you put a domain in there, I'll have to maybe approve it, but I could take a look in a minute here. All right. So yeah, the feature boxes here, many of the different affiliate plugins will give you some option to do a little feature box like this. Additionally, you can just look at the CSS, right? This is not, I don't know how to, it's not like you can't go and check it out. So you would just inspect the code, and then you can see, whatever styling, you could get the style sheets, the CSS, and figure out how to do a box just like that if you want to. And they are good looking boxes. So again, custom images here and going in detail on certain areas, certain features that have been mentioned before. So I'm going to skip ahead until we get something a little different. So they talk about the competition. Truth be told, all pumps are pretty decent. Anything you get at the bike shop, if you don't use it as a hammer, it'll be fine. And that is a quote from an expert, which I'm not even sure. I don't think this person was one of the authors, but that lends the credibility, right? So you can quote people that are experts and just give them a little credit here. I think this is probably an Amazon link right here. Yeah, this is an Amazon link to the bike repair manual. So they're quoting someone and they're putting an affiliate link in. So you can do that too, right? There's no reason you can't do that. And of course, they just list some other competitors that they tested that were good enough to make the list. I don't think they put all 35 that they mentioned on here, but just a subset of the good ones. And they have the other authors listed here, and that's about it. So pretty straightforward. There's a lot of content here, but you can see it followed sort of a general kind of format where there's a bit of a buying guide, and then there's custom images and some other pieces of information to help build the credibility. In the buying guide section, they kind of mention the different features that a person would look at for the product. And then for each one of the products, each of the 4 products, they talk about those specific features. Very straightforward. You can do this for any, we looked at bike pumps here, but you could do it for any product that you have. So I'm going to scroll back up. People can ask questions. We'll take a look at John Rydell's. If he pings it over, which it might be in the chat, I just have to go and look. So let's see what people are talking about here. All right. Okay. That's funny. Marcus says maybe H3 makes focus actually better to navigate. April says, I think Google is pushing for shorter content. Chris says, skip the H3s and go straight to H4s. Guys uses H2 and H3 for structure and SEO, and it forms a structure on a dropdown for the contents menu. Yeah, and I use H2 and H3 as appropriate. And like I said, think about the content you're writing, and if the hierarchy fits, then you can, use H2, use H3 or 4 if you need to. There's nothing wrong with it. In the last helpful content update, Google specifically says write for the visitors, don't write for humans, right? Don't write for the search engines. And that's what I'm thinking the whole time. I'm like, they could change their mind. I tried to think of the visitor. Just think of the visitor, and you can kind of ignore some other stuff. It may not be optimal 100% of the time, but it's a better frame of mind, I believe. Okay. Zishan's on. Marcus says they could have made the parts of the copy bold so it stands out from the long paragraphs and the links are in bold. Yep. And funny enough, I actually mentioned recently something about using, bold. I was talking to a VA. So just bold some things just to make it stand out a little bit more. Marcus notes that they don't use subheadings too much. Yep, not very many subheadings, just kind of the main topic areas and sections, and that's about it. Yeah, very few subheadings. I didn't even notice. Couch says, I don't have Grammarly installed and ended up spelling it wrong. That's funny. All right. Gaz says, it doesn't look very special. Are the Wirecutter relying on their DA to rank this material? Yeah, I mean, it was very high before anyway, and then now they're on the New York Times, and I think they kind of paved the way for a lot of the other big media companies to just put affiliate reviews on their sites. I think, part of it is the credibility. I would challenge you guys, if you went and looked at the competitors, probably, if you didn't know where the content came from and you just got, blind, it was blind and you got these different pieces of content, there's a strong chance you would look at the Wirecutter and you would think this is more clear. There's not extra stuff here. They probably edited it down very tightly. If you look at the custom images, if you look at this post versus just a basic affiliate site, strong chance this blows away the basic affiliate site. Even though, it looks pretty normal, it is good. But yes, they get, what is their DA, like 99 or something like that? I mean, it's in the 90s, I think, right? Somebody can confirm that. All right. And John mentions the original photos. Josh says about the prices. Yep. So one thing, Amazon has pretty strict rules, and they can have rules for different people, right? So if you see the Wirecutter or Outdoor Gear Lab doing something, that doesn't mean you can do it. Your agreement might be different than theirs. Okay, and then Gaz said, I'd be more convinced they were experts if their names linked to content of them on bikes. Yep, they should be riding bikes. There was someone's hands on a pump. That makes it better. Woland says, is there any marketplace where you can order custom, unique photos for every product you need? I doubt it. Highly doubt it. All right. And then John says, good answers, thumbs up, question, maybe the split paragraph and table of contents. You have issue using the wrong grammar for not set to the US, and you always find mistakes. Cool. Scrolling down. All right. Catching up on the chat here, and then hopefully John will have his link of his site somewhere in the chat. I don't see it. All right. Hit the thumbs up if you have the ability to. And quick note, I have a free mini course coming out October 3rd through the 7th, 3 emails. It'll help you get motivated to start a new site or to grow your existing site. It's free. You just sign up. If you go to nichesiteproject.com/mini course, or there's a link in the description, totally free. And we have Fruit Bat Cat says people would just read what's in the red boxes. They don't read any of the other stuff. A good example of highlighting the parts of the content that people want to read. So the thing is, it depends on the content. If people are really interested, they will read it. So, and I disagree, Fruit Bat. So you say people don't read any of the other stuff ever. They'll skim. People will skim stuff. I think that's part of why the like breaking up the text and putting in the feature boxes is good. And if you bold it or put in like subheadings, like those are good for the skimmers for sure. All right. Solomon says, hey, you'll catch it on replay. Okay, cool. Sonia says, how do you track your ranking of articles during an update? So there's, just keyword trackers. There's one called SERP Robot that I usually recommend. I'm not an affiliate or anything. It's just pretty economical and cheap. So you can, monitor it there. You monitor keywords, so that gives you a pretty good idea and should suffice for your purposes. All right. I'm going to take a super quick little break. I'm going to roll the ad from Odys, one of our sponsors. I'll be right back to answer questions. So get those questions in, and let's get quick thanks to our sponsor, Odys Global. That's odys.global, the source for aged premium domains. So you can hop over and browse at Odys. They have a great filtering mechanism. The feature domain for today is bazista.io. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce that, but it was a website that used to target an audience interested in decentralized e-commerce. So, you can sort of think of like decentralized banking and crypto and stuff like that. And they focused on e-commerce, and it was a platform that focused on using digital currencies to facilitate online trading. So I would say this is a growing industry. And if you had a specific use case, even if it was not necessarily a product or a platform like it used to be, you could still use a domain like this because some of the links that it has are pretty ridiculous. So we'll look at those, but generally, some of the details. This site was created in 2017, so it's 5 years old. Domain rating of 13, domain authority of 32, 127 referring domains that are unique. 94 of those are do follow, and it has links from places like bitcoinist.com, icoholder.com, cointelegraph.com, bitcointalk.org, and many, many more. So I would focus on crypto topics generally, and you can write a lot of informational content, monetize with display ads, and you potentially can get direct relationships with the companies that are advertising once you get some traction and once you're a little bit more established. Further, you can also refer people to paid communities or courses that focus on decentralized e-commerce and banking and some of the similar topics. And I think probably the affiliate referrals will pay a high percentage, and you'll probably earn more than you would on display ads on a per user basis, per visitor basis. So this one's worth checking out if you're in that space. You can hop over to Odys and you can join using my affiliate link. If so, you can get $100 into your account. And if you make a purchase, then I get a commission, which I greatly appreciate. So thanks a lot. Let's get back to the show. All right, and we're back. Tony mentions that he's been adding 3 options to affiliate link buttons. So you have Walmart in addition to Amazon. Cool. Yep. And that is, there's a couple mechanisms to do that. You could do it manually, of course. I know that Genius Link has what they call choice pages. You have to set everything up, but essentially it's a landing page for a specific product, and then it has like various different options for you. So essentially the same thing. And usually, from what I understand, that boosts conversion rates because you give people an option and they're able to check to see if they're getting the best deal. So they feel good about it, and that boosts conversions because of that. That's the theory anyway. Jaber says, any advanced tips to find niche site ideas? No, my biggest tip is to try to pick something that you're interested in because it'll keep your motivation up. And if you are working on something you're not interested in, it'll be much harder to work on when you get bored, when things are tougher. As far as, this is one of those kind of questions where there's a lot of different ways, but basically, if there's a market out there, if there are products being sold, that's a niche, right? Like if people are buying stuff, then you can make money at it. So it's really not nearly as complicated as people make out. And, just get moving forward on it, pick one and start taking action. And Sonia says, any advice how to get through a Google update? Yeah, just as much as possible. Don't look at the analytics. It's pretty tough. Laughing Hyena says, how many words should a blog article have to get sufficient results? So similar to the, what are good niches, the article needs to be as long as it needs to be. So it shouldn't be any longer than that, and it shouldn't be any shorter than that. If you want to get a good idea, you can Google the term, look at the top 10 results that have a website similar to yours. So if it's a content site, then look at other content sites. You can discount the maybe e-commerce type sites or a different site, but take an average, you'll get a range. And if you aim in that average for the top 10 results of sites that are similar to yours, that'll be in the right ballpark, most likely. But if I told you 2,000 words, there might be a keyword. There's certainly a keyword where you should probably make it shorter than that. If you can say something, if you could solve the person's problem in 300 words instead of 2,000, you should say it in 300 words. Aman says, one dedicated video on article SEO. What does that mean? You want a video on article SEO? Khalid says, what to do with sites that have been hit by an algorithm update? Just take them down or move it to another domain? It's totally up to you. Typically, I wouldn't necessarily take them down. I would try to improve the content. There's an interview that I did with Marty McLeod earlier this year, and he had a site that was hit by an algorithm update, and it lost, I think, 30 or 40% of the traffic. And then he worked for about 2 to 3 months improving the existing content, making sure products were up to date, adding new products, generally tightening the content, new images. And he recovered up to like 90% at the time that we recorded the interview. So he did a lot of work, but he actually recovered the site. You could move it to another domain, but most likely you will run into the same issue unless your algorithm update impact was due to external links, most likely. And Sonia says you should delete your analytics app. Yep. Laughing Hyena says, how many categories a niche site should have? My site have blog reviews and buying guide. Do I need more categories? No, you don't. You can have as many categories as you want, but I would advise you to have like 3 to 4. Make it simple. Lotto says, I want to make a blog in the Your Money or Your Life space. How would you go about creating it? if you had to. Lotto, I have a great recommendation for you. I did an interview with a guy named Cody. He actually tells us exactly what his site is, and he is making $1,700 per month within 4 months in the health niche. Let me get a link for you if I can, because he tells us exactly what he's done. He's not even an expert in the health niche. He's a software security guy, network security guy. But go watch this interview, leave a comment, please. Subscribe to the channel from this video. It's actually doing really well. But I haven't done a Your Money or Your Life site. I generally choose not to, but generally I would listen to what Cody tells us here and how he did it in such a short time. And let's see if John has given us a link to his website. So I guess I don't see it. So if you want to, if anyone wants me to take a quick look at their site, I can. Philip, what's up? Says, what should you do when you hit 50K views? No affiliate revenue, pure articles, low EPMV. So, Philip, what was your goal in the beginning? What's the issue? And is the issue low EPMV? Why don't you have affiliate revenue? So there's a couple things that we could look at, but you should tell me more. Chris says, I think having a tutorial category is mandatory at this point. Okay. I don't necessarily agree, but I think you have a different context, maybe, of what you're thinking of than me. So do what makes sense. You know, you could have a site where it makes sense to have 50 categories, but most people do not. And based on the question, 3 or 4 is fine. All right. Mateus says, what do you think about translating other people's English blog content to other languages? No need for keyword research or writing. AI tools like Jasper also builds on existing content. I would, I don't have experience there. I would get permission from them before I did that. But I mean, that is a massive shortcut if you just translate it, don't do keyword research. The people that speak English don't even know you're stealing their content, and you just come out on top. I was about to say something more harsh, but one person did that to me on YouTube. They've just been taking my videos and ideas, and they have a much bigger channel than I do. It's kind of funny. Different language. And the motherfucker even sent me an email, and he said, I've learned so much for you. I'm going to take all your stuff and I'm going to put it in another language. And I said, don't do that. I don't give you permission. And they said, I don't fucking care. And they did it anyway. So yeah, I would get permission first, and then listen to them if they don't actually approve of you doing that. Sonia says you got a 30% decrease in traffic since the start of September because of the updates. Still higher traffic than Q2, but definitely a pain. Oh, that sucks. All right, cool. So I think we made it through a lot of the questions here. So shout out again to the sponsors out there. And the top tip for quality content is have a look at the grammar portion of it, and especially the first paragraph. So a lot of times if I do review someone's content and they're like, oh, it's really high quality, but they're just not getting traction for some reason. When I do look at the content, I could tell in one sentence, the very first sentence, that the content's garbage. So if you can read through it and identify fluffy transitions, extra words that don't need to be there, repetitive sentences, another huge thing. If you see the same phrase, not the same phrase, but the same sentence just repeated in different words a few times, that's a dead giveaway that you could trim it away. Just make it tighter, get to the point faster. And you can't necessarily use a tool to identify the repetitive stuff, but like Grammarly Premium does a very good job for identifying just punctuation issues, repeated words, misspelled words. Get that stuff right. Google can tell when you are, a bad writer and you're not editing your work. Grammarly, the free version, will do a ton of it. The premium version gives you a little bit more stylistic capability. And the other thing is, even if you don't want to use a tool, you can just step away, reread the content, see if it is, grammatically correct, look for those misspelled words. Otherwise, you can look at some of the best in class type websites that we looked at here. So Wirecutter was very good. You can look at like Outdoor Gear Lab. We didn't have time to get over to that one, but they have a very good sort of comparison tables. You don't have to make it as elaborate as Outdoor Gear Lab, where they have like 15 products and a lot of different components. Simple is often best, but Outdoor Gear Lab did differentiate themselves by putting more detailed tables with a lot of information and more products in there. All right, a couple more questions here. So Jabber says, I bought a bit high domain DR. What are we doing here? Expired domain and started working. I think a backlink profile is a bit bad. Should I just keep working on it? If you think the backlink profile is bad, then I would probably move and not use the domain, right? So if you're hoping to go faster by using the expired domain, but then you have a bad backlink profile, then it'll, work against you. And John says there's a lot of fluff. You need to trim away some of that. There's a lot of fluff in some of the content. Okay. Marcus says you can also use AI tools to rewrite sentences to make them better, not create complete articles from scratch. Yep. So, and I think, someone asked this a while back. They were like, is using Grammarly using AI? And I don't think, it's all semantics at that point. Generally when people are thinking of AI, they're thinking about the AI writing tools, which should generate the content, and rewriting a sentence using an AI tool, I believe, is different than using the AI tool to actually generate the content. That said, again, it's semantics and I don't really care. If you use Grammarly and they say, hey, you can make this sentence clearer by rewriting it, that is potentially, someone could call that AI, but that is, generally what a writer would do. And Marcus has a great tip here to just read it out loud. And if it sounds funny, then you know that you can, change it. And Fruitbat Cat says, with data critical content like news posts related to promotions, would you delete content after an amount of time that Google would deem it not helpful? Totally up to you. I think that keeps your site cleaner. One way that you can handle it, so for example, in the past, I've done Black Friday deals, or I've listed them out on my site. So I think maybe the first time I created a domain or a URL, it was whatever, nichesiteproject.com/Black Friday 2019. And then I realized I should just move it to Black Friday. just /Black Friday. Don't put the date in there, and then I can just update it every year. So I would say, don't have stuff on your site that is out of date and not super useful. Alrighty. And I didn't see anything else from Philip about what's going on with his site. We hit 50K views and it's a low EPMV. So I'll answer that really quick. I may do a video on this. So I have a specific one of my sites. It has a decent amount of traffic and it has a low EPMV. There is some affiliate content, but it's not ranking very highly. There's a lot of affiliate deals that I could approach, but I was really aiming for informational content. Later on, I found that it was fairly low EPMV. So what I'm doing is trying to find if there's any informational content that is on the higher side of the EPMV, which there is. When I look at the content and the keywords that I'm targeting and it has a higher EPMV, it's very clear why, the kind of visitor that would go there. Additionally, I'm adding more content that is affiliate, and I'm improving the content on the existing affiliate articles. So I'm hoping that the site at large will be viewed positively by Google because there's all this informational content, a lot of traffic, a lot of rankings. But I'm trying to get more traffic on the URLs on the post that actually are earning more money. So I would try to figure that out, Philip, if there are pockets of content that actually are more profitable. Okay. And I think that's it for today. So I have to jet. I have a few more interviews to do. Thanks for hopping in. Please do sign up for the email list, sign up for the YouTube notifications. There are links in the description. If you could hit thumbs up, that'll be great. Leave a comment if you're able to, and we'll catch you next week.